Welcome to Wannabe Clutter Free, formerly Wannabe Minimalist, the podcast for busy families who are tired of the chaos, fed up with being overwhelmed, and ready to enjoy life again. Each week, we talk about how to let go of the clutter so that you can focus on the things that actually matter. And it's not just physical clutter. We talk about the mental and emotional stuff too, because if it's holding you back, it's time to ditch it. I share what I've done in my own life to declutter, organize, and calm the chaos, but you won't just hear it from me. There are amazing guests too. It's practical, doable, and simple for those of us that want to be clutter-free. As winter rolls in, so do the challenges of cold air and dry indoor environments. If you're like me, you know how tough this season can be on our health, from stuffy noses to itchy skin. But I found a trusted solution that has been making winters more bearable for 125 years. Vicks humidifiers. With the air getting drier and humidity levels dropping below 40%, it's no wonder we suffer from congestion and dryness. Thankfully, Vicks offers the only humidifier with a 1-2-3 combination. It combines a cough suppressant, soothing menthol vapors, and a hydrating mist that not only eases the cough and congestion, but also brings much needed moisture back into our living spaces. There's something instantly comforting about the scent of Vicks Vapo. It takes me back to being cared for as a kiddo myself. I was initially hesitant about using a humidifier, but this one is effortless to maintain. It's easy to use and clean, making it a non-invasive solution that fits seamlessly into our daily lives. And here's some great news. You can find the Vicks Cool Relief along with Vapo Steam and a variety of Vapo Pads on Amazon. There's a special offer on Amazon on the Vicks Cool Relief Humidifier where you can get 20% off your purchase. Just go to Amazon.com and search Vicks VUL 600 Cool Relief Humidifier. It has a blue tank with white in the center. Be sure to click the coupon to get that discount. You need this for wintertime comfort. Well, hey there, my friend. Welcome back to the show. My name is Deanna Yates, and you are listening to episode 243 of the Wannabe Clutter Free podcast. On today's episode, I am chatting with Germaine Foley about how we can actually spend our money on the things that matter the most to us and still be able to save or even pay off debt. This is what she's done in her life, and I am so excited to bring you her inspiring story. But before we jump into it, I just want to say a big thank you to you for joining me today. I know your time is busy, and I will do my best to bring you stories that I find inspirational and motivating to help you on your journey. So if you enjoyed today's episode, can you please take a quick moment and just click that subscribe button so that you don't miss any episodes? It's one of the best ways for you to help the show. But of course, if you'd like to, I would also love for you to leave a rating or a review for the show wherever you listen to podcasts. But of course, Apple, Spotify, and YouTube are the biggest shares there. And if there's some topic you want me to cover or you have the perfect guest you want me to try to interview, well, reach out and let me know. It's one of the best ways that I can help you on your journey as well. So you can reach out on Instagram. I am at Wannabe Clutter Free. Just send me a DM over there, or you can email me, Deanna at wannabeclutterfree.com, or you can come over to our Facebook group. We have a wonderful group over there. It's under the Wannabe Minimalist family group on Facebook, and share in that community. And one last little bit, you can get the show notes today by going to wannabeclutterfree.com/the number 243. Again, that's wannabeclutterfree.com/the number 243. Let's hear a little bit about my guest before we jump into today. Germaine Foley is a certified life and money coach for women who make good money but aren't building wealth. She helps them take control of their finances and build wealth without losing the freedom to travel or buy nice things. Germaine came to this work because she found herself in over $200,000 worth of debt and with very little savings, even though she had really good income. She figured out how to build wealth and enjoy life at the same time, and now teaches others how to do the same. Let's get into our conversation. I think you're going to really love it. Well, hi, Germaine. Welcome to Wannabe Clutter Free. How you doing today?
I am amazing. Thank you for having me, Deanna.
Oh, it is my pleasure. I'm looking forward to this one because I always love when I have financial experts on the show, because I think there is such a tie, obviously, with what we spend our money on, the stuff we bring into our home, and I think that scarcity mindset really plays a part into both aspects. And so I'm really excited to have you on the show, but for my listeners that don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yes. So my name is Germaine Foley. And listen, I'm just going to be honest. My money was a hot mess. It was a hot mess. And I was able to climb out of it. I'm going to tell my story in a second, but I want you guys to know no matter what your financial situation is like, it was not worse than mine. Mine was the worst. And I was able to figure out how to pull myself out of it. And now I'm just so passionate about helping other women, in particular women, pull themselves out and know that wherever they are now, it doesn't have to stay that way. So, you want me to just go into it?
Yeah, tell us about your story. I mean, it's pretty inspiring, so let's get into it.
Yes. Okay. So I grew up in a blue collar area. My parents took great care of me and my two sisters, but we just didn't have a ton of money. But we lived in an area where a lot of the kids did. And so I would see them, at school with the latest sneakers, the latest jeans and all the things, right? And I liked, nice things. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I wish I could have those things. So I kind of made a subconscious pact with myself that I was going to grow up, go to college, get a good job, make a bunch of money so that I could buy whatever I wanted. And that's exactly what I did. And we can fast forward to when I met my husband. We met kind of right out of college for me, and we instantly were six-figure earners when we combined our income. And so for me, I thought we were rich and I thought we could just buy whatever we wanted. And that's what we did. And at the time, banks were willing to lend us whatever, we wanted. So we traveled, we bought a house, we bought cars, we shopped, we did all the things. And we ended up finding ourselves in over $200,000 worth of debt. And that was about half student loans and half consumer debt. That didn't even include our home.
Wow. I mean, just the thought of that number is, oh gosh, gut wrenching, right?
It is. It really is. And I will say I was, kind of avoiding it because I kept telling myself, we'll just make more. We'll figure it out. We make plenty of money. We'll get through this. But guess what happened? Baby number one came, and then baby number two. And I worked outside the home. So that meant daycare. And that is when, all of the balls we were juggling, we were robbing Paul to pay Peter. We were, trying to figure it all out. But when I had two kids in daycare, that's when it got really, really stressful. And that's when things started to unravel. And I started to get really stressed out. So I'm going to make this really, really short. We tried all sorts of things: consolidation loans, 401k loans. I even filed for Chapter 13 bankruptcy, which is a bankruptcy for high income earners, right? You don't get your debts wiped away, you just get them kind of reorganized and you have to pay them off over a 5-year period. And I thought, okay, this is going to give us the breathing room that we needed, but it didn't because we were still the same people doing the same things. So one day I go to church. So one day I was at church and I was just crying because I was stressed. And I think people probably was thinking like, oh, she's really into it. And it wasn't that. I was just really, really stressed. And I prayed. I said, God, can you please help me? And then a couple weeks later, my dad gifted me and my two sisters a book called The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. And I devoured that book. I devoured it and I was just like, okay, this is what we have to do. So I took all of what he teaches to my husband and I said, listen, we got to go on a strict budget. We have to give up everything. No more eating out, no more date nights, none of it. And he just looked at me side eye. Who are you and what have you done with my wife? And he was just like, Germaine, we can't live like that. We have $200,000 worth of debt. It might take 8, 9, 10 years. And that's when I had an aha moment. And I thought, why do we have to do it this way? I know that's what, at the time, that's what all of the personal finance gurus were telling you. They were saying, stop buying lattes, give up everything you love, go on a strict budget, wait till you're retired to enjoy your life. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to figure out how to do both. And now I've named it the do both method: how to build wealth and enjoy life at the same time. And that's exactly what I did. We paid off all of our debt, $200,000 worth of debt. And at this point, we're at a $500,000 net worth and it continues to grow. And so I always say, if I could do this, anybody can. And so that's my mission, is just to help women understand that they can do this.
I love that. Okay, so let's get into it because I think everyone's sitting here going, well, that sounds fantastic. What the heck did you do? Because all of a sudden, if you weren't going to cut all your budget and, get on this super strict diet, quote unquote, what did you do? So you talk about why conventional budgeting methods don't work for high earning women. So can you explain the pitfalls of traditional budgets and why they fail to address the real problems?
Yes. So the issue with traditional budgeting is that it's focused on restriction and deprivation. It's all about what you can't do instead of thinking about what you want to do, right? And so I believe that you can have a unrestricted, realistic spending plan that aligns to not only your financial goals, but to what truly, truly matters to you in your life. And I know you talk about this all the time. Spend your money on things that actually matter to you, and that frees you up. So, one of the first things I tell my clients, and even on my podcast, I have a podcast as well, I'm like, strict budgets don't work. Stop it. Stop trying to do it. And most people want to punish themselves because they feel like, oh, I've been spending too much. I just need to go on this really strict budget. Kind of like you mentioned it, like dieting. Like I ate too much. Now I need to go on this diet. But it backfires because we as humans, we only have a very small amount of willpower. And so we may make progress in the short term and then it just backfires. And then you feel like you failed and that you're out of control and you just give up. And so I am a big proponent of no strict budgeting.
Okay. All right. So okay, so that's great. So we're not doing strict budgeting, but people must have to know where they're spending, right? So there is then a loose budget and people are putting their or selecting what it is that works for them or where they want to spend their funds. Is it kind of like that? Kind of like I say with stuff, like you select the things that are important to you. And if you aren't a family that, let's say, okay, so I live in San Diego and you live in Michigan and we want to go paddleboarding. Well, paddleboards probably aren't going to work for you, but they're going to work for me. So, right, there's everything in the world you could buy, but you only need to really focus on your habits. Is it kind of like that?
Absolutely. So there's a process that I love to take people through. It's like really discovering your values. And I promise you, Amazon purchases never make it on the list. Neither does Target runs, right? It's usually things like financial security, family happiness, travel, adventure, sometimes appearance is on the list. So you really do have to figure out what is most important to you and then make a priority list based on the season of life you're in. So when we were in our, you know, financial situation, we had two young kids and we had a bunch of debt. So of course, a lot of things I wanted to do, but I had to prioritize what's most important. So for us, it was important that we went on a family vacation every year, even while we had all that debt, right? It was also important for us that my husband and I went on monthly date nights. And it was also important that our kids were able to participate in some extracurricular activities. So that was kind of like we prioritize those things. And then we also said, and we got to get out of this debt. So anything extra we could get, we put on our debt and we carved out some money for those things that were truly important to us.
Got it. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Thank you for clarifying that. So, what is the hidden reason so many women avoid facing their finances, right? I think we have this idea of, I'm so scared of it. If I just avoid it, it'll go away, even when they genuinely want to build wealth. And so, how do you help them overcome this hesitation or this fear?
Yes. So that kind of leads us back to the do both method. So Fidelity Investments, they did a study very recently called their money mindset study. And they found that 76% of the women surveyed wanted to save, they wanted to build wealth, but they didn't want to have to give up everything that brought them joy, right? And not only that, but they found that most women are motivated. We want to do this work, but we just can't fathom giving up life. So I think women avoid their money because they think they have to choose. They think they have to choose between living life and building wealth, but you don't. You can do both. We do not have to live in the extremes of either I'm going to live it up over here and don't, even pay attention to my money, or I'm just going to be really, really strict with myself and not have any fun. You've got to find that balance. And once I think you realize, oh, I can still have fun and get out of debt and save and invest, it just opens you up to say, okay, let's try it. Let's do it. I think I can make this happen.
I love that. Yeah, just that opening moment of, okay, I can do this. And we as women do hard things. Like we juggle so many things in our life. This is just one more little aspect of just uncover the little bit, just peek under the hood a little bit and say, okay, take, a little step forward and see if you can then make another step and another step. Just like you're not going to declutter your entire house in one weekend, please don't try. It doesn't work. You're not going to overhaul your financial life in one budgeting session. So just take little bits, and habits will add up. Did you know that while we spend about 90% of our time indoors, the air inside can actually be up to 100 times more polluted than the air outside? From allergens to smoke and even mold spores, our homes are full of unseen pollutants. But don't worry, I found the solution to help us breathe easier. Air Doctor. Air Doctor isn't just any air purifier. It's an award-winning system that eliminates 99.99% of airborne contaminants, ensuring that the air in your home is not only clean but healthy too. It's no wonder that Air Doctor was voted the best air purifier by Newsweek. And guess what? An overwhelming 98% of Air Doctor customers report that their home's air feels cleaner, safer, and healthier. So how does it do it? Well, it uses ultra HEPA filters that capture particles 100 times smaller than what standard HEPA filters can manage. That means it's incredibly effective at purifying the air from virtually all types of pollutants, including those invisible dangers that are too small to see but can still pose a big risk to our health. And there's more good news. Right now, you can get up to $300 off your purchase of an Air Doctor when you visit airdoctorpro.com and use the promo code WANNA. Plus, Air Doctor comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee and a 3-year warranty, an $84 value absolutely free. Don't miss out on this exclusive podcast-only offer. Head over to airdoctorpro.com, that's airdoctorpro.com, and use code WANNA to make your home's air cleaner, safer, and healthier. Are you feeling a bit overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Trust me, you are not alone. Every day, we're surrounded by over 1,000 hormone disruptors, from the food we eat to the products we use. These disruptors, along with natural body changes like perimenopause and menopause, can make us feel like we're on an emotional roller coaster. But what if I told you there's a way to smooth out the ride? That's where Hormone Harmony from Happy Mammoth comes in. This incredible formula harnesses the power of herbal adaptogens, nature's answer to helping our bodies cope with stress. Whether you're dealing with mood swings, sleeplessness, or those frustrating menopause symptoms like hot flashes and night sweats, Hormone Harmony is designed to help women of all ages feel balanced and more like themselves. It's not just a supplement, it's a lifestyle shift that's backed by science and loved by thousands. Happy Mammoth, the makers of Hormone Harmony, use only science-backed, plant-based ingredients that truly work. It's no wonder a bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. The feedback has been astounding, with over 30,000 women sharing their stories of a life reclaimed, a life where they feel like themselves again. And now I've got great news for all of you looking to try Hormone Harmony for yourselves. For a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire order at happymammoth.com. Just use the code WANNA at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use the code WANNA, WANNA, for 15% off today. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about some habits that people can work into their life. What are some of those sneaky spending or saving habits, really? Because I don't think it's all, they're not all bad habits. They're not all good habits. So let's talk about the two of those that you see in your clients that make it hard for them to save, pay off debt, or invest, right? How can they start to break those bad habits that we want to let go of?
Yes. So first, I think the habit that keeps most of us stuck is the habit of emotionally spending. It's the habit of, okay, whenever I'm feeling bored, or whenever I'm feeling stressed, whenever I need to fill some awkward time, I shop. You know, our brains, we do not, as humans, we do not like to feel pain, right? even emotional pain, even something like boredom, our brains they don't want to tolerate it. So a lot of times it's a conditioned habit that we have that we just shop to fill the time, right? If we have a bad day at work, what do they call it? Retail therapy or a treat. Yeah, because it feels so good. It does feel good temporarily. But the problem is, especially when you're doing it to mask emotions, the underlying cause, the underlying emotion is still there. So you're going to still deal with it, especially when that high of the buy comes down. And then now you've got guilt and you're beating yourself up because you did it again, right? And then maybe there's some financial stress on top of it. So you're compounding and compounding versus just dealing with the root cause of why you wanted to spend in the first place. And so one of the big things that I work with my clients on and I talk about on my podcast is the fact that it's not your money's job to make you feel good. That's an inside job. Now, yes, we use our money to enhance our lives. It's a tool to, provide us with things and experiences, but it's not a tool to alter your emotions because as humans, we are designed to have negative emotions. It's just a part of the human experience. And if you're always trying to spend over those, you're just not going to be able to build wealth. And that was one of my issues. I didn't realize it until later, but that was the thing I did when I was bored, when I was stressed, when I had an argument with my husband. It was like, I'm going shopping. So all of those things. So
Yeah. Well, and to add to, you had a whole litany there list of, you're going to have the guilt, you're going to come down and have the remorse of buying the things. And then you're also going to have all that stuff in your house that you've got to get out. Eventually, it's all going to be clutter. And then the deeper you go into this hole, you realize it all is going to end up in a landfill. And it's just like this cycle. So if we can figure out, yes, stop the leak first and then figure out how to deal with it, it'll be so much better. So, yeah, love that so much.
perfect tie-in. Perfect tie-in. I remember I was talking to a gentleman. He was older, and I can't remember what he was looking at. I think we were like watching something on TV, and this lady had all these shoes. He was like, every single pair of shoes that represents dollars, and that just made me think. Yeah, all the clutter in your house that is just sitting there, you don't even use the clothes, the shoes, the gadgets. It represents money.
Yeah. It was money you once had, you spent on stuff. And yeah, I mean, I don't like to get to like, you shouldn't have done that. Definitely not. Everything is a learning experience, right? We're learning as we go, and it's trial and error. And the number of things I've tried and decided, you know what, it's not my cup of tea. But at least I know now that that's not my cup of tea, and I can learn from it and grow and not do it again. So I think if we're learning as we go, it's definitely worth it. But yes, it is. And I think we sometimes need those eye-opening moments of, oh, what did I get myself into, to really have the change of heart like you did in your story, which I think is so, like I said, fascinating and inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's talk about credit card debt. Why do so many women pay off credit card debt only then to find themselves stuck back in the cycle of racking it up again, right? Like it's very easy to go from, okay, I have all this debt, I'm working at it, I pay it off, and then you kind of like, oh, okay, look, now it's clean and now let's do it again. Why does that happen? Why do we do that?
Yes. So, okay, I have to tell you all, I am actually a life coach as well. And so, a lot of the things I look at, or I like to go, I like to look at the psychology behind it, right? Because we could tell you all day long to do this, do this, do this. But if you don't know why you're doing it, if you don't know the mindset behind it, it just won't work. So, what I've realized when it comes to credit card debt, because so many people find themselves here where they're just like, I'm back in it again. I can't believe it. So, our brains like to be in the familiar state it's used to being in, right? So, if you think back how our ancestors survived back in the cave days, they did it by repetition, by eating from the same tree, by taking the same path to go hunt because if you veer off that path, it might be dangerous and you might die. So it likes to do the same things over and over again. It likes to be in the familiar. So let's fast forward to today. Even though we're not hunting and we're not picking berries from trees, I mean, that's kind of cool, but that's not how we eat most days. We our brains still like the familiar. So our brains, even today, like to live in the same familiar state it's been living in for the last couple of years. So if you've been in debt for a long time, that is now your familiar. That is now your comfort zone, even though this other part of your brain wants you out of it, right? The logical part of your brain wants you out of it. But that other part that's all about survival, that part wants you to stay where you are because it's comfortable, it's safe, and if you keep doing the comfortable, safe things, you will, not die. That's what it thinks. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what it thinks. So if you've been in credit card debt and you get out, your brain is like, what's going on here? This is not us. We are in credit card debt. So it's going to do all the things. This is all subconscious, by the way, to get you back in. That's exactly what happens.
Hmm. It's so crazy. Oh my gosh. It's so weird that our brains do that, that they want us to be comfortable, even if comfortable is uncomfortable. It's just the familiar. And yeah, that all of this is happening kind of in the background of our actions and like making us do things we don't even really realize because it is that well worn path. I think, yeah, is so fascinating. So, yeah, okay. What's something you've done to get yourself out of that path? Like how do you then move past?
Yes. So the first thing is awareness. Like you just have to wake up and say, "Oh my gosh, this is what I'm going through." Like I'm let's say you pay off your debt and the credit card balances are zero. Like you have to then be on to yourself like I'm going to want to go back in. You almost have to expect it. And then make a decision and a commitment that you're not. So even when you have urges, even when you're tempted, even when, you find the cutest dress in the world and you just need to have it, you have made a decision and a commitment that you're not going to use credit card debt to do it. And also, you have to decide how you will use credit cards moving forward. So I love my credit cards. I love to pay all my bills with them. I love to get the points. I just bought a flight for free the other day. So I am pro credit card, but I am also anti paying credit card interest if I don't have to. So you have to just like awaken to it, notice the patterns, know what's going on, and then practice. It takes discipline, it takes practice to notice yourself wanting to go back in and then still committing to not doing it. And then guess what's going to happen? This is going to become your new normal. Not having credit card debt is going to become your new familiar. And then your brain is going to want to be there.
Yeah, I love what you said there about using credit cards and being like, hey, I still use them. And, they are just a tool, right? They are a tool for you to use. And if you use them responsibly, they can be quite amazing. Yeah, we as a family have traveled internationally multiple times, and every single time we use points. And it is so amazing. I love it so much. So I'm a big proponent of using credit cards wisely and getting the points and maximizing that and doing all the point hacking and all the things. That's a whole different ballgame. But it's definitely possible, right? And you don't start there on day one. Just, you don't start with, getting everything out of your house on day one. But yeah, I like that. I love how you're saying like, hey, these are here and I use them and it's great, but I don't want to pay that interest. So I want to pay it off every month. It is something that's still within my budget. I've put it on there. I know how much I'm spending on it and what I'm paying off every month. So yeah, very smart. Very, very smart.
And I'll just add really quick, you can make a decision for yourself right now. Am I going to use credit cards as a tool or am I going to let credit cards be a trap? Cuz it could be either one. It could be a tool or a trap. Which one are you going to let it be for you?
Ooh, I like that. Ooh, all right. Two T 4-letter words. You can put it right there. Tool or trap. I love it. That's so great. Okay, I know we kind of covered this, but I do have it on my list of questions. So I just want to make sure in case there's anything else you wanted to cover, because we were talking about how you've said it's possible to build wealth without going on a strict budget or sacrificing the things that bring you joy, like travel and nice purchases, and you like nice things. So, what does that approach look like in practice? And if you want to skip this question, we can, because I know we kind of answered it a little earlier.
Well, I'll share kind of the way I manage my money. I can share my little system. Okay. So I love the fact that once you believe this, once you change your mindset to go from thinking that you have to choose between building wealth and enjoying life, and once you say I'm actually going to do both, then it's just okay, how am I going to do both? And for me, I've come up with a system that I would love to share with your audience. I call it, it's a little funny name, but I call it the 3 bucket money management system. And really what it is 3 bank accounts, right? I have a household bank account, and that's where all of my household bills come from. So I'm never commingling my money with my household. And then I have another account that's just for me to spend how I want when I want. No restrictions, no deprivations. The only restriction is I decide ahead of time for the month how much I'll get to spend for that month. And that's my only boundary or restriction. And then I have another bank account that I save. So let's take someone and let's say you get your check. You can have your check divided into 3 different accounts. So your household account, that's where all your necessities and your household things come out of. You're not really doing any swiping from that account. It's just money sitting there. Then you give yourself make a deposit into your spending account. That's where you spend that money and then save. I love a high yield savings account. My favorite one is Ally Bank because you can get buckets and start, putting aside money for travel or home repairs and your emergency fund. You can divide it all up, but only have one account, but still be making interest on all of the money. So that's kind of my system. And so that's how and then before you start putting money, you have to sit down and say, okay, what are my priorities? What are we prioritizing right now as far as our financial goals? And what are we prioritizing in regards to our lifestyle goals? So if you're saving for a vacation, then guess what? Money should be going into your savings account under your savings bucket and in your high yield savings account. You can still shop, you can still buy lattes with your spending money, and then your mortgage and your groceries all are coming out of your household account. That's kind of how I do it for myself, and then I teach that to my clients as well.
Ooh, I love that. That is fantastic. And then I would assume when you are married or have a partner, they have their own safe spending bucket as well. And depending on your relationship, you would then share the other two, to work on your financial goals together. But so they would have their own spending bucket as well. Yes?
Yes, absolutely. Every relationship is different, but that's definitely one way to do it for sure. Yes. We won't even go past that.
Yeah, I know. All relationships have their own, idiosyncrasies, and so they get to work how it works best for them. But I just wanted to point out that maybe you would each have your own spending just so it doesn't get too
Yes, that's non-negotiable. You each got your own spending account.
perfect. Yeah, so then there's no judgment on what are you spending your money on or, yeah, I love that. Hey there, friend. Ever find yourself standing in front of your closet feeling like you have nothing to wear? Well, you're not alone. A recent study found that nearly 61% of Americans admitted to regularly struggling to find something to wear, even though their closet is full of clothes. And I've been there too. But thankfully, I found a great solution: Armoire. I went to a podcast conference recently, and honestly, it had been a while since I needed to dress up. But thanks to Armoire, I didn't just find outfits, I discovered styles that made me feel put together and confident. Their website was my boutique where I could choose from high quality, unique pieces, perfect for the occasion. And the best part, I didn't have to commit to buying them. I could wear them, love them, and send them right back. For someone like me who isn't a big fan of traditional shopping, Armoire was a lifesaver. This service is fantastic for anyone who wants to keep their wardrobe fresh and exciting without the clutter or waste. Plus, if you fall in love with a piece, you can buy it at a great price, which is what I did with my new jeans. So if you're looking to revolutionize the way you dress for any occasion, check out Armoire. Right now, my listeners can give Armoire a try and get up to 50% off their first month. That's up to $125 off. Just visit armoire.style/wanna. That's armoire.style, ARMOIRE.style/wanna, WANNA, to get up to 50% off your first month and never worry about what to wear again. Try Armoire today. Okay, great. So we talked earlier about mindset, and I want to make sure we hop back into this. So, what role does mindset play in breaking free from debt and building wealth? And are there any specific strategies or exercises you recommend in shifting our mindsets?
Yes. So for me, it's just believing that it's possible for you. I really thought that it was my lot in life to just struggle. Like I knew I was good at making money. Like I was like, okay, we'll make money, but I'm always going to struggle with it. I just didn't even know that there could be a life where money stress wasn't a thing. So just changing your mindset around that, it just opens you up to really a whole new world that you never even thought of. So believe that it's possible for you. I know so many women carry a lot of guilt and shame around money. They think they're bad with money. They think that they can't be trusted, that they're undisciplined, that they have no self control. And I want you to know that none of it is true. It's just the way you are used to doing things. It's just habits. And habits can be transformed. You can break habits and start new ones all day long. So I think that's the beginning. And just it's just believing that you can. And don't try to overhaul your finances in one day, right? And don't expect perfection from yourself. It's all about progress and giving yourself lots of grace and lots of compassion and just one step at a time. So we're not going to jump from A to Z. We have to go through B and then C and then D. And as you do that, you're building up those muscles and you're creating those new neural pathways and you're just setting yourself up for success.
It's so similar to what how I teach things. So I'm all on board with this approach for sure. And then you emphasize helping women gain control of their finances while maintaining freedom. And so what advice would you give someone who feels overwhelmed by the idea of managing their money?
Listen, if you don't manage your money, it is going to manage you. Okay. And so I offer this: take your power back. Your money is not more powerful than you are. You are more powerful than your money. But unless you take that back, you are going to feel like your money's controlling you. You're going to feel the stress and the overwhelm and the worry. So just take one step, one step. And the first one is just believing that things can be different. And I mean, within the next 3 months, I mean, your life can just feel so different, right? Once you get that control and you start to build up that confidence, you just start to feel that stress just come off your shoulders. And for a lot of the women I work with, they do well in their careers and in their businesses. And they're just like, on paper, it looks like I have it all together, but behind the scenes, things aren't quite as pretty as it may seem. So, why not just live the life that it looks like you're living? Like, why not just get there? Because you can.
Yeah. Oh, so fascinating and just so, yeah, just helpful. I think really inspiring and telling people like you can do this. We can get you there. It's not as difficult as, it might be made out to be as long as we take the right steps and go in the right order. And I think this is going to help a lot of people today, Germaine. So why don't you tell people where they can find you? And I know you have a free training as well.
Yes. Okay. So I have a free training. It's called How to Build Wealth Without Going on a Strict Budget. And you can find that at germainefoley.com/wealth class. That's Germaine with the G, foley.com/wealth class. And will it be in the show notes as well? The link?
Of course it will. Yes, of course we'll link to it in the show notes.
Yes, so it'll be in the show notes. And then if you want another podcast to listen to alongside this one, I think they really complement each other. It's called Becoming the Wealthy You. My podcast is called Becoming the Wealthy You, and you can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially when you talk about the values and what it is that really what makes you tick and what is the thing that you actually want. And I think you and I both talk about that because it really does matter. If you start to spend your money or fill your house with things that don't even light you up, you're going to find yourself empty and guilty, like guilt ridden and just not feeling great. And so I love that you start with that approach as well. So I think my listeners are going to love your show for sure.
Awesome. I appreciate you having me on, and I would love for your listeners to listen to the show.
Yes, but you don't get to go yet. I, I end every episode with 3 rapid fire questions. So you have to stick around for these ones. So the first one is, what does clutter free mean to you?
This is a big one. Okay. For me, clutter free means that I know what I have and where to find it.
Mm, yeah. I feel like Superwoman when I can do that. For sure.
Oh my gosh. And I have a confession. So just recently, it's kind of like how I talk to my clients, like you have to make a commitment to change. I made a commitment to keep my closet clutter free and organized. And I think I'm going on 6 months of it being that way.
That's amazing. Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. So, a lot of the tips that I've heard on your show and other shows, and I'm just like, okay, one of them is so I made myself like I gave myself an out, I should say, because if I'm tired at the end of the day and I take off all my clothes, I just like to throw them on the shelf. And I said, okay, Jermaine, you can do that, but you can only do it one day. So when you throw something on the shelf, you have to pick up the other things that you threw the other day. You got to put those away. So that's really helped me because before I would just pile it on, pile it on, pile it on. And then before you know it, it was just stuff everywhere. But now it's just like only one outfit can be on the shelf at a time.
Perfect. Well, and I love how it's not, like you said, it's progress, not perfection, right? You're not setting this incredibly high standard for yourself that is impossible to meet. You know your boundaries, you know your limit, you know you're tired, and you're like, okay, I'm giving myself that little bit of wiggle room, but I'm also holding myself to a high standard and saying I'm not going to allow it to get out of control. So I love that.
The next place that really drives me nuts and I need to figure out a system is my mud room. Yeah. There are four of us in the house. We all have like shoes and boots and scarves and hats. And we have all the containers, but nobody puts their stuff in the container. So yeah, that's my next project to figure out, okay, how we're gonna stay organized and clutter free in this mudroom.
So it sounds like people want visually to be able to see it. So maybe hooks, try hooks instead of a bin, just so it's then like up off of the bench, but it's still visual. So it's right there in front of you, easy to grab.
That's true, because everything's in a bin, and then you gotta go in the bins and you're just looking for what you're looking for, the glove or the scarf, and then everything's everywhere. Makes sense.
And then try to limit the number of items each person has, right? So obviously with kids, they grow so fast, just have one pair and then let go of the others. They're going to grow out of it by next season anyway.
Well, my kids are old, like 17 and 19, so they only need one pair anyway. Right.
Oh, they're older. Okay, never mind. They're not growing so fast. They only need one pair anyway. We all still only need one pair, even if we're not growing.
Okay.
All right, number 2, I'm getting back into it. What is making you happy right now or in this season of life?
Okay, so I have a 19-year-old who's in college and a 17-year-old who's still a junior in high school. And I feel like the 19-year-old, like it just went by so fast. I can't believe it. And so I had this epiphany probably at the beginning of this school year. It was like, you only have 2 more years for for Sean, that's my son, to be in high school. So before I used to kind of dread like all the sporting events and, all the things. And now I'm so excited for them. Like I'm enjoying all the football games, all the basketball games, all the track meets, and just, you know, living in the moment and savoring all of those things. So,
Oh, that makes my heart feel so happy and full. I love that for you. All right. Number 3, what is a goal you have for yourself this year?
so a goal I have. So I read the book. I think it's called 10x is easier than 2x by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And it really is all about the old 80-20 rule. Like 20% of whatever you're doing is giving you 80% of your results in life, no matter who you are, what business you're in, anything. So that's my thing for this year is to really focus on the things that really matter, that gives me the most impact, and letting go of all the other things, the busy work.
All right. I'm adding a new book to my list already. I love it. Okay, fantastic. Well, Germaine, this has been lovely. And yes, everyone listening to this, please go ahead and add a new podcast to your lineup. It'll be a great one for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, have a good one. Cheers. I love being able to chat with other like-minded individuals. And I know that Germaine and I are in different spheres and different realms, but really money and stuff do have such a correlation. And with both of us starting from the viewpoint of figuring out your values and what it is that you actually want to be doing with this one wild life that we have, well, I think then you can start from that same standpoint and really break it down. So I love her approach. I think if you're listening to this show, you're going to love that approach as well. But I would love to know what stuck out for you. Do you have any aha moments or anything you'd really like to share with the community? We would love to cheer you on, answer any questions you have, and just be part of your journey as well. So you can come over again to Instagram. I am at Wannabe Clutter Free. If you love the episode, go ahead and share it. Make sure you tag me so I can see that as well, or send me a DM if you have questions, comments, or comment on this if you want to share your part of the journey. Or come over to the group we have on Facebook. It's the Wannabe Minimalist family group over there, and you can share, and we would love to, cheer you on over there as well. Of course, special thanks to Germaine for joining us on the show today and sharing such wonderful tips and just mindset shifts and ways that we can really start this journey, breaking it down so that our finances don't have to be as complicated or difficult or scary as they might feel if we are not feeling in control. Knowing that she has done it, and like she said, everything in her life with her money was a hot mess. So if she can do it, you can do it. I love being able to talk to people who have walked the walk and been there before. So make sure you check it out. You can get all the links for everything she shared today in the show notes at wannabeclutterfree.com/243. Again, that's wannabeclutterfree.com/243 to find out more about Germaine and get the links for her free training as well. And as always, thank you so much for joining me today too. With that, I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you back here next week. And until next time, keep things simple. Start with just understanding that you can do it, shifting your mindset a little bit to just say, what if? And looking at it from more of a curiosity perspective. I know you can do hard things. I know you can do this. So just maybe take one little step forward and start to figure out how you can take back control. All right, I'm Deanna Yates, and you've been listening to Wannabe Clutter Free. I'll see you next week. Cheers.